All right. So we did our project on why collegiate athletes should be allowed to profit from their likeness. Me and Garrett have both been interested. I've actually done a project before on this in high school. Garrett has too. We've been interested in this for since high school pretty much, and so we're just gonna give you a little bit of information about how that stuff is and how collegiate athletes think about it and how they can be benefited from receiving profit or whatever, and we'll get into further detail on that.
So our question once again was, should college athletes be allowed to profit off their image? We chose this topic because it's a pretty hot issue right now, and a lot of different sports medias and the news are discussing it. And both of us have been interested in it a while, and we both are interested in sports, of course. So it's pretty natural we just picked this topic. Um, our bias toward it is that at least me and him have talked about it. We believe they should be allowed to get a profit off of their image, such as like jersey sales and shoe deals and having an agent and whatnot. But the university doesn't have to pay them anything. The university is already putting these kids on scholarship, housing them, feeding them, but they should be allowed to profit off of anybody selling their name for financial gain. So we'll get into the reasons about that now.
All right, this is the other side of or the other side of the argument. Why student athletes should not be paid. Well, under the NCAA rules, student athletes must maintain an amateur athletic status, and for example, athletes cannot receive payments from playing sports. But I believe that you can be paid, just not from the university. I think that's a loophole for that. And another example is they can't receive funding for training. Like you know, uh, off-season workouts. Like you can't pay or receive money to go, work out with a trainer or anything like that. Prize money based on performance. You can't make money off of performance. It's not allowed to be represented or marketed by a sports agent or a professional sports agent, or promote or endorse commercial products. But most universities state that they don't owe players money to play because a lot of these players are on scholarship, so they just think that a scholarship is good enough, and they don't think they need to receive any other compensation than that.
So there are a lot of instances of athletes actually getting paid from certain individuals in the university themselves and getting deals, and they were caught. We picked just a few that were really big instances or big names in the industry, but there's hundreds upon hundreds of events where this happened. So one of the bigger ones, everybody knows who Reggie Bush is. He played for the Saints. A sports agent gave him 200 grand to play where he played and to play how he played, and he ended up winning the Heisman, and he went on to the NFL. But he received a lot of backlash and went through a lot of trials to get through all that. Another big player that is in the NFL is AJ Green, and he was selling his jersey when he was playing for Georgia. I mean, his autograph was a lot of money. Everybody wanted his jersey because he was a big name player. So he's wanted to make a couple bucks off of it. Got caught, got in trouble. Marquise Pouncey received a hundred grand from a sports agent, just like Reggie Bush did when he went to play for the Florida Gators. And one of the most recent instances, and a really big deal lately. I don't know if anybody knows who Brian Bowen is, but he was a basketball player that was kicked out of Louisville University for getting paid to come there. Him and his coach, who was the one that paid him, both were banned from all NCAA events. They can never participate again. And Brian had to move overseas to have any shot at a career in the NBA. Luckily, he made it, but he was never allowed to touch a basketball court for a college team ever again. So those are just some big instances that happened in the past.
All right, this is compensation that athletes could receive if if they or were allowed to receive a profit or anything. So if the College Athletics Bill of Rights were to pass, then the athletes would have different kinds of compensation other than money. For example, student athletes could receive health care coverage for up to 5 years following their eligibility, which is, I think that's very important. I think that's a good, that would be a good plus for the college athletes because, I mean, when I was in high school, I had plenty of injuries. So, but I mean, couldn't imagine how many injuries collegiate athletes have. So that would be a good thing. The bill could also give athletes more autonomy over the decision of wanting to stay at a university, transfer, or go pro. A lot of people these days, if they're not comfortable or happy where they are, they transfer, and obviously it's a difficult process. And I think if this bill is passed, I definitely think it'd be easier for them to decide on whether they want to stay or transfer or go pro. So that's my thought on that.
So a lot of the things athletes are wanting to receive are financial, as much as it would help them to go for the things that aren't so much as money, such as the healthcare. A lot of them do want the money because a lot of these kids, their only way of making a profit is going to be that sport they play. So probably the biggest thing that a lot of collegiate athletes want is the ability to sign shoe deals or apparel gears with any big name brand companies such as Nike, Adidas, all of that. And the universities especially wouldn't have to spend a cent on that, and the athletes would still be making their own living because outside of their sport in college, they don't really have much time to have their own job. So that would be a big help to them. Another thing that athletes have an issue with is universities selling jerseys with their name on the back because, of course, that player's name is on that jersey. That's why a kid or a fan want to buy that jersey because it has their name on it. So they want to make that a percentage of that money at least off of that jersey. And then another big thing that's been talked about is players having their image in video games. In the past, the players' names wouldn't be dropped in the video games, but in a lot of the newer stuff, everybody has a player's name on it because kids want to play as their favorite player. And that's one of the big reasons they buy that game. So any of the athletes that are in that game, they're going to want to have a compensation for their name allowed being in that game. So that's just some of the big things that people want to get paid for.
All right. These are the college athletes that are pushing for compensation. There's college basketball players from more than 15 teams that played in the NCAA basketball tournament and that demanded a reform to rules that would allow college athletes to be compensated from their name, image, and likeness. I mean, there's so much money that these basketball players can make from the NCAA tournament. It's just a crazy amount of money they could receive, and not even just like from the university, like just outside of that, like there's so much money they can gain. But the NCAA is expected to make nearly $900 million during March Madness and split it amongst its member schools. Players won't even see a dime of that. So I really don't see anything that wouldn't hurt the players receiving money, you know, from outside the school or whatever. Many supporters, such as ex-Duke star and ESPN analyst Jay Williams, suggest that players delay their participation in the tournament until their demands are met. Which I don't know. I don't know if I was a college athlete, I'd still want to play, but I mean that's their own choice, and if they want to get what they want, I mean that's yeah they can do that, and I think that's a good way to express you know your feelings about it. So,
So, a lot of people want to know what should be done to resolve the issue. A lot of the athletes asking, they don't want the university to pay them any money, but if that university is using a player's image or likeness to make a profit, then that's a completely different issue. Um, Athletes should definitely be allowed to sign deals and have an agent because, I mean, at least through college, it would give them an opportunity to learn how to have an agent, how to market themselves once they have that shot to go pro. And I mean, I feel like, at least in my opinion, it's a right of that person to have someone help guide them along and make their decisions for them. Because, I mean, some of these kids are younger than we are now coming into college, and they're only going to be there for 1 year and be thrust in the NBA. And, I mean, at that point, they're a superstar and should really have an idea of where their money's coming from and how they're making it. And especially athletes need to be compensated or at least see some sort of profit from a university selling their image because universities know who their big name players are. They know what's going to sell tickets and generate them the most revenue. And whether it be through promotions like videos and pictures or apparel or even, video games, they probably deserve a good bit of compensation for all that because they're helping the university more than the university's helping them.
all right, our research results. I mean, it didn't change our opinion about it because we understand both sides of the story and believe that the university doesn't have to pay the players. However, they should be allowed to profit off of their image. Which, I mean, I did read a lot of some articles that were against it, and I mean, I understood what they were saying, but I still believe that college athletes should be able to profit and be compensated from their image and likeness, and because I mean, I just feel like it really benefit them while they're in college, like just like the healthcare thing. I think that's a very important thing. I think it would really help the players having that healthcare coverage, which is very important. So that's what I think about that.
Then we included a couple pictures of various guys that went through this whole process of being paid. Top left, that's the Brian Bowen kid from Louisville. In the middle, everybody knows who Reggie Bush is. And then in the top right, that's AJ Green. So figured we just put a face to all the names we talked about in this presentation.
And this is our works cited page, and then that's it.
Thank you. I guess you can stop recording now.
Yeah.
Yeah, we killed that. We're right at the time.
Wait. How do I stop the video?